Over the years, I've met a lot of successful men. From my experience of being an officer in Marines to my experience of owning a business conference, I've had the privilege to talk with these men at length. What I've discovered talking with these high achievers is that they think very differently than the average Joe. In today's video, gents, I'm sharing with you 11 ways that the top 1% of men think differently. The first way that highly successful men think differently is that they look for challenges. Seriously, they're not avoiding obstacles. They are actually running towards them. Everyone sees an insurmountable barrier, except for these guys. They see a challenge to take up. For the high achiever, he looks at a challenge as a way to test his mettle, to see really what he's got inside. And it's been this way for a long time. Let's look at the classic story of Hercules. Now, most of us know him as this mythological strongman, but that's not actually why he's remembered. He's remembered for his 12 labors. They were considered to be impossible. They took this demigod 12 years to actually accomplish, but it was through these labors that he became immortal. And if you think about it, guys, it makes perfect sense. I know so many of you guys have dreams. You've got ambitions. You want to be up here, but right now you're down here. How do you go from being this piece of coal to becoming a diamond? Just the way nature intended. You all of a sudden have to have some pressure. You've got some time. You've got some heat, and you transform into that diamond, into the man you know yourself to be. Next, the top 1% of men constantly work to improve themselves. Nope, let me fix that. The top 1% of men create systems to constantly improve themselves through passionate curiosity. So first up, they create systems. They don't work at it, because if you have to work at something, you're going to get tired of it and you're eventually going to fail. But when you create a system, this is going to happen automatically. It becomes a routine. It becomes a habit. It just becomes a way of life. And let's talk about that passionate curiosity. I'm stealing this from Albert Einstein. He actually said, I have no special talent. I'm just passionately curious. And that right there is key, because when you're curious, you ask questions. We've all got something that we can become passionately curious about and in turn become a world-leading expert. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. I don't have time for this. I don't have 8 hours for an audiobook, 4 hours to read a book. I get it. I'm busy too. I've got 4 kids, 3 businesses. I understand. So what if I were to tell you there's an app that takes the best business, self-help, management books and condenses that information down into a 15-minute summary, which you can listen to or you can read right on your phone? Let me introduce you to Blinkist, the sponsor of today's video, and I love what these guys are doing. They are making it so easy to get the information you need quickly. The whole idea of taking these longer books, breaking it down into a 15-minute key point summary, which you can listen to, you can read. I absolutely love that part. This is gold. Now, how do I use Blinkist? Well, I've got to admit, I'm a pretty voracious reader, but there are books I read like a decade ago, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that I've assigned to people on my team to go back and read, and I don't remember the 7 habits. Yeah, so guess what? I found it right here on Blinkist, and I simply went through and re-listened to it in 15 minutes. I'm caught up to speed. I'm able to have a conversation with the people on my team about the book they're reading. I'm also using Blinkist to be more effective during my wait time. So the other day, picking up my son after football practice, I thought I was on time, ended up waiting 15 to 20 minutes because they were running a bit late. Guess what? I got a book in. If you've got a short attention span, but you still care about self-improvement, you need to check out Blinkist. Guys, I've got a special link for you down in the description. Go to Blinkist.com/RMRS. The first 100 of you to use this link get 1 week free trial plus 25% off if you decide to go with the full membership. And that 7-day trial, completely free. You can cancel at any time. Again, the link is in the description. Go to Blinkist.com/RMRS. The next way the top 1% of men think differently, they build themselves up, so then they're in a position to help others. So many people love to publicly profess, oh, I would love to help. I would love to donate to that charity if I had the money, if I had the time. But here's the deal. That's easy to do because in reality, you're not going to do anything. What's a lot harder is to see the problem, to quietly resolve that you are going to make a difference, and then to put in the work. Put in the effort to put yourself in a position when then you actually can donate money because your business is doing really well. Or you can donate time because you've created a position for yourself and you're healthy enough that you can actually go be a volunteer. The next way the top 1% of men think differently, they look at life as the way it is. They know life is unfair. You see, a man that accepts that life isn't going to be fair to him realizes very quickly that it's not fair to anybody, that everyone has their problems. And all of a sudden he realizes that, okay, if I understand this, if I study it, I can actually use this to actually get what I want out of life. Now, I'm not talking about manipulating people. I'm talking about better understanding people and understanding the problems that we all face, and then being able to create solutions, being able to start a business, being able to help people because you genuinely get that we're all in this boat together. Now, these next 2 points, I'm going to throw them together because they work well together, and that is the top 1% of men have an immovable core. They have a why. They have a purpose which does not move. This has been established very early. But the tactics about going through life and dealing with situations, these are fluid. They move around. And that's key because they're very different things. One is fluid, one is immovable. But together, it all of a sudden gives them a very lethal combination. So when you understand your why, you know what you stand for, you know what you're about, what your principles are, your morals are. All of a sudden, this is something that you're able to make quick decisions about. Is this for me? Is it not? Now the tactics that you're going to use to actually go after building that business, this needs to be able to evolve and change. And the smartest people realize that no plan survives contact with the enemy. So you're going to go out there, you've devised a plan, but all of a sudden you tried, it fails. Failure is something that we learn and we adjust with. That's why those tactics need to be fluid, but the core, what you stand for, that needs to be solid. That needs to be something that never moves. The next way the top 1% of men think differently, they understand that balance requires work. So many people, when they're going after success, they reach a balancing point and they're so excited they hit it. And then they fall right off and they wonder what happened. How did all that go wrong? It was like you had this perfect balance at this point, and all of a sudden you fall right off. Those that stay at the top, they understand that you are like a man going across on a tight wire and that you are never truly in perfect balance. You are always working to get there, but to achieve that perfect balance is next to impossible. I remember training as a pilot in the Marine Corps, and it was something that they taught you to scan the cockpit. You were constantly looking around because if you got focused on one dial, you would crash the plane. And that is key with balance. You got to understand it's work. It's something that never ends, but the rewards are a life well fulfilled, and I think it's well worth it. So this next point is really important to me because I have so much work I need to do on this, and that is I found the top 1% of men are very selective about who they listen to. They are selectively deaf to most people trying to give them advice. And here's the thing, if you achieve any level of success in life, you're going to have tons of people who are going to criticize you, who are going to hate on you, are going to want to give you unsolicited advice, are going to want to butt in and try to direct you in a path that they see is right for you. And that's the most dangerous thing here, is that you start to have all this self-doubt. You should question yourself. And you should be one of your harshest critics, but you need to be on guard with people that just want to throw information at you. You need to be very selective about who you listen to. And let's talk about being action-oriented. The top 1% of men, they are people that take action. And the key here is falling flat on your face is going to hurt and is going to sting. And this is inevitable. If you want to achieve greatness, if you want to go out there and make things happen, get that nonprofit off the ground, you are going to have people say no when you're asking to borrow money. You're going to have banks slam the door in your face. But you know what? That is nothing compared to the pain that you will feel the rest of your life of regret. If I don't go do this, how am I going to feel in 20 years when I look back on my life and say, I could have done that. I could have gotten started with that business. Guys, that is key. So compare the pain, long-term pain of that regret to the pain initially and very shortly that will be lived of trying and getting started and dealing with some of the no's. I would much rather deal with that. Next up, the top 1% of men, they know the rules. They've studied the rules, and they most importantly realize the rules were created by other people. And they're not afraid to step outside the box, to play the game the way that they want to play it. Now, I'm not saying you want to do this all the time, but I am saying that when you all of a sudden start looking at things this way, once you understand the way it all plays and you get deep down into it, you realize, you know what? I can tilt the whole playing field in my direction. And anyone playing that game is all of a sudden going to be at a disadvantage except for me because my goal is down here at the end. And that's what you want to do. You want the game to go in your favor. I'm not talking about cheating. I'm actually about devising things, setting them up so that you can't help but win. whether it be in business, whether it be, getting your nonprofit up off the ground, whether it be in relationships. You want to set yourself up for success. So if you know that dressing sharp, all of a sudden people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Why would you shoot yourself in the foot and not dress appropriately? Or if you realize that, hey, certain mannerisms are going to get people to trust me more, why not take the time to learn them so that you start off at an advantage? Next up, let's talk about how the top 1% make decisions. Hell yeah or no. And if you can't say hell yeah to it, you're going to say no. And you're going to say no the vast majority of the time. They turn down a lot of people making requests to them. Why? Because that frees them up to then really laser in and focus in and give more time to the yeses, to those opportunities. And it frees them up whenever a great opportunity comes by, an amazing opportunity, they can say yes to that because they didn't say yes to an okay or to a mediocre opportunity. Now, personally, for me, this was very difficult. I want to say yes to people. I want to be agreeable. I don't want to upset anyone. I want to help people. But here's the deal. We've all only got 24 hours a day and a very limited amount of time left in our lives. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was when I realized I wasn't spending much time with my kids. I wasn't spending much time with my wife. I was 100% devoted to my company, and that was out of balance. It wasn't something I wanted, and I realized I needed to start saying no as my default answer to all these meetings, to all these opportunities. And what that did, when you start saying no to okay opportunities, to nice opportunities, you all of a sudden have this time that you can say yes to amazing opportunities. And that's when the magic happens. So what video to watch next? How about this one? 7 undeniable signs it's time to quit. I don't know about you guys, but I was raised not to be a quitter, but being a quitter sometimes is the right decision. I cover it in this video.